Hello, hello. Welcome to ARMA League Season 2 Hanchans 23 and 24. As a quick briefer of the rules, we are playing with red fives, no bankruptcy, head bump instead of double or triple run, rounded mangan, no abortive draws, 30-10 UMA with an Oka at a 30k return. I am J-Cakes and I am joined by Shory. Hello, Shory.
Hello, glad to be here today as well.
Thank you for taking the time to commentate with us and give us your insight. I really enjoyed yesterday's stuff. There was a lot of really nice conversations we were having. You know, I was trying to speed run talking about them because like hands would develop and be like, wait, I got something to say. I got something to say. but
Yes, there was a lot of talking yesterday.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so as a quick thing, we're gonna have to look at the yes, there we go. We'll have a quick look at the spreadsheet before we go on. These are the games we're going to be playing, and the first game we're going to be watching is the top right one with No Visa, 24QQ, Last ESPN side. The standings before we start the day off is Tile Dreaming in first place, Junkin Ron in second, Atsusuki in third, Powerpuff Boys in fourth, Water in the Fire fifth, Dark Flame Curse Totoro sixth, Tanya Sensation in seventh, AUNSW Wanderers in eighth, Time for Fun in ninth, Unistar Fan Club in 10th, Itchy Richie Fingers in 11th, and Long John Silver in 12th place. Yes! I got a perfect start for once! And we enter into the hard drive perfectly with No Visa in the east seat, 24QQ in the south seat, Poseidon in the west seat, and ESP in the north seat. Dora is the 3-pin. I'm so happy that we got that perfect. I'm not gonna lie. I've been wanting that to happen for the past 6 weeks.
Well, we started with something exciting, even though even though it's not exciting in the game per se. But well, JKix is happy, and that's a good that I would say is a good omen for the rest of the Mahjong day.
Hopefully. We see
So
here.
we're seeing here. Go on.
Yeah, 24QQ opening up the Nan Pon, probably going for at least Nan Dora 1, maybe Nan Hatsu Dora 1 if they're willing to go headless for a little bit. Poseidon hard shifting there were Onitsu and the Pinzu with a Pon.
Yes, I don't think it's a bad choice at all. To be honest, Honitsu, the way they have set it up is essentially guaranteed that it's going to give them Mangan. Speaking of Mangan, we also see ESP here having a very scary hand. That's also definitely going to turn to Mangan once they call pretty much anything, really. And they're not even going to need to call it Chun, they just drew the third one. So another Lian Shantan for a really, really good hand. Shantan now. And that is not a hand that will immediately, that immediately stands out to you as expensive. But once they call the East, or, I mean, if they call the Dora, it's certainly expensive. Once they call the East, somebody could deal in really badly, really quickly, yeah. And I think we might see it happen just now as the 8-pin really sticks out in this is that QQ's hand.
Yep, 24QQ is in danger there, has an isolated 8-pin that could come out and deal into ESP's Ton Chun Dora 2. As a player, how greedy are you? So, like, if you drew, say, the 6-pin or 7-pin in ESP... Oh, well, it's irrelevant.
Certainly is, yeah. And that was the dangerous part about QQ's hand, because no matter basically what they drew to progress their hand, one of these tiles would come out. It's very, very difficult to predict that.
Now, that is a nice, very quick Mangan win for ESP, running off of 24QQ for 8,000 points as we enter into East 2 Dora 4-pin, and Visa picking up a very pretty hand. What, two completed melds, one Kanchan, a lot of floating mid-tiles? This is a pretty fast one.
It's not so bad. It's not so bad. The tile could still turn out any number of ways as they cut the E1 here, so one path sort of going down a little bit. Not sure if they envisioned sort of a shape. With this kind of nice hand, I think you would generally cut the south and see kind of where things end up. But we'll see what they have in mind. Meanwhile, we have...
Oh, actually, yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking about the 1 sir, but the 1 mine is actually a little bit useful, especially if you can pick up the 2. But yeah, no, I agree with you that the general consensus cut the south first. They've elected not.
Yes, meanwhile we have ESP with another E-Shantan, and this one's not so expensive, but it certainly is fast. And actually another quite interesting hand ESP has picked up here, as we also see QQ with the Shantan, perfect Shantan actually, which is also relatively expensive. It's going to be definitely a manga no matter what they draw. So everybody's sort of doing well here.
But very importantly, we see ESP with the Kwashite on the pawn. Oh, sorry. Kwashite on the ton pawn. Currently 10 pi for the 4-7 pin. I think at the 4 pin it would be a 2,000 point hand. But more importantly, it's posing to shut down 24QQ's monster hand. Which is very important when you've been run for a manga. Oh, there we go.
Yes, very, very, very fast hand here. Relatively standard play, but well, that's what wins in the end. I mean, ESP obviously a great player, knowing exactly when to call.
Yep.
Not really going for these greed plays and just going for the 1,000 point hand as a defensive measure. Very good stuff.
Yep. Especially, it's fairly standard play when you're like in the lead. Like you've got the nice, or at the time, about an 8,000 point gap buffer between you and second, and you end up on a good weight Roundman Tenpai for even something cheap. It's good enough. It shuts out a lot of variance in allowing other players to progress their hand. So we do see yes losing. Okay, they cut the Tuso instead Tuso the turn before instead of an honor, so I thought they might have been posturing for something a bit aggressively valued, but it seems like they got rid of the South at that point. Second South.
Yeah, certainly. The Tuso doesn't really add a whole lot here. I mean, obviously the draws you miss most are 3-so and 4-so, but I think it's not so bad to keep your options open a little bit, especially because this was a hand that could turn like very, very expensive with a few more draws. So we see the East call here, so this is going to be another fast hand to shift the rounds, and it's actually one of the nicer ones because he also has that North pair, so he can just call without much danger at all. He doesn't really have to put himself out there.
If North gets cut, are you potting it? You'd get to Ishan but you'd call away your safe tile.
Difficult to say. I could imagine him calling something like a North and then cutting the 6-so and sort of still keeping a little bit of safety around with the other tiles. I mean, he has a 4-pin against the dealer. He has a Hatsu still against QQ, and he has and his situation against Novisa isn't so bad either. So I could see him doing that. I will see a 5-man cut from Novisa here, as Poseidon picks up a potential Sanchoku chance. 5-man cut is really, really interesting. I would imagine him going forward like something like a Junshan now. He basically just set that into place.
I'm sorry, you don't see the Reach Dora Sanchoku Doko? Because I see it.
Yeah, I guess so. It's actually Sanchoku Doko is actually a possibility here as well. Not even. I mean, one of the 9-man is out, and the other one is stuck, but it's not something that's not in their mind, I would imagine.
Yeah. It definitely becomes a question if that 9-pin gets cut by ESP. It looks like it's about to be cut. And then you have to decide, do you wait for the next 9-pin? Do you go for the Sanchoku Doko even if it's just like meme value? Because like, who gets Sanchoku Doko? Okay, yeah, they're going for
it. I would see them calling this.
Yep. Yeah, of course it can also just go to Junchan classically if you can pick up the 1-so and then you're waiting for the pen 3-man for Junchan only, which is not bad. A lot of ways out. Oh, yes. Now there's a decision. You take the Junchan only, or do you take the Sanchoku Doko? Atozuke.
Well, I would imagine them. Oh, okay. I would have gone the exact opposite way because this is very quite. I mean, the Sanchoku Doko is nice, but really the value is like very comparable, and it might actually be exactly the same. And if they had, first of all, if they had taken that away, they could have still had the possibility now. And also, this is just 4 tiles against 1 tile with a 9-man, and that's a decision that's very, very tough to make.
Yeah.
So nobody's hand really progressing here. As I say that, QQ's hand is actually progressing. Everybody else still kind of stuck in Shantan or worse lands.
6-9.
That is a very fortuitous draw.
Oh yeah, 6-9. So for Reach Dora 2, 2 tiles in the wall for them. No, but Poseidon could just deal 9-so. Reach it parts Dora 2. Dora 2 would make it a Hanema. Although just no change.
Not going to get that, but that is a very a very strong discard here. I mean, they were an Shantan, but that is still a lifetime leap and it's very late. So, very, very strong play. Yeah, obviously wanted to protect that dealer turn.
Skip on the first non here for Visa, doesn't want to settle for a cheaper hand.
Yeah,
or
which
at
is...
least not yet. Maybe they'll settle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do see... We haven't seen a lot of dealer repeats, it seems.
Yeah, this Hanchans is going quick. We're at East 4 and
Oh,
this
there's
Hanchans started about 10 minutes ago. Less than 10 minutes ago, actually. It started about 9 minutes
Yeah,
ago.
East 4 ESP still with a comfortable lead. They got off that manga. Nobody else has won such an expensive hand this yet. I mean, obviously QQ just did, but they did know that before, so ESP is still comfortably in the lead.
5-pin cut for ESP. I was for 24QQ. Looks like a timeout.
Yeah, that might just be a timeout because even looking at it, well, we'll see if they discard this tile. Like, we'll see what happens now. But yeah, that's probably most likely a timeout.
Yeah,
I don't really see a reason.
one of the factors of just it's the difference in the format, right? Because we're playing online and someone just times out, they time out, and sometimes it means you cut back tiles that you would like to use. It happens.
Yeah, typical to happen in real life. As ESP, you just picked up a very nice draw with the 7-man. They're now in a they're now actually in Shantan as I say that, and it's not a particularly wide Shantan just yet. It's like okay, but it could become very very nice. I mean, they obviously like basically any solo tile gives them either tempo or an improvement. So this hand is very good.
Ishanten
Could still
also
go a long way as well.
Ishanten for beside a potential sound choker if they can get the 2-pin only or 3. So Tenpai here for Visa, waiting for the 3-6 set for Reach Itsu Takame on the Dora. It would be super Takame if they can get that Dora.
Yeah, obviously the Dora stuck in everybody else's hand right now, so that Super Takame is not going to come out because nobody's going to throw that Dora against it, obviously, as we see ESP going for the Kanchan weight on the 4, so what remains seeing now is how they handle drawing something they consider as really dangerous, because they have no safety in the hand right now, which is probably also part of why they even pushed it all to begin with. Ooh, and this might be...
I think this is what you were talking about. This is a very dangerous tile. Because it is Dora so... Oh, okay, cuts it. Very powerful cut.
Yeah, it's sort of...
Nice.
I think the only real and obviously Rod there right now, I think the only real decision there is whether to cut 3 so or 7 so, because you do need to retain your tempo at least if you cut something dangerous, and anything you cut is dangerous. And obviously, I guess they didn't want the 40-10 potential on the 9 so.
Very nice.
So very nice play from ESP here. Stole the win away, not even with a particularly cheap hand.
Yep. Anyao Dora Aka 2,000 points all. That's pretty good. It creates what 8k gap between you and everybody else. So, hey, every point matters, especially when you have the chance to breed. Entering into East 4, we have 4-man Dora. Very pretty hand here on a Visa. Ton offered. Taken this time. QQ has a pretty hand, but not a very expansive. Just a 4-5.
Yeah, for that hand to... A lot has to happen for that hand to be expensive. As we see Poseidon drawing an Aka 5-man to his Dora 4-man. This hand could also turn out very nice, but obviously Nova... no Visa in the driver's seat right now with his relatively wide Enchanter that can call from a lot of different sides. And we'll see if they can develop their hand before anybody else. They got another small upgrade here.
Perfect Rangshanten, I guess. 2-pin draw is amazing there for Poseidon, progresses their hand forward.
They cut 9-pin. I mean, I guess... it might not be so bad.
I probably would have cut the 3-pin though, because then if you draw the 7-pin, you can cut the 3-4 so and go for the Itsu soundtrack.
Yeah, I think 3-pin is relatively standard there, but 9-pin is not the worst tile in the world. As we see a 2-man pawn, so now we have a perfect E-Shunt-in here for no visa. If they call the West, ooh. We also actually see ESP here with a very nice E-Shunt-in. And that E-Shunt-in is a dealer with 3 Dora.
Yeah,
and so now we're probably going to see the Medici want to win on that E1 as well.
Yep.
And now probably a call here from no visa, fighting against that. So this is going to be a very dangerous showdown.
No call. These are
No
willing
call.
to put their hand down. They don't want to fight the dealer Ichi.
They do not want to fight the dealer Ichi, and obviously that is the benefit of these 2 West tiles. The difficult part arises when those 2 West tiles run out. And wow, we see another we see a Nishantan upgrade for Poseidon, and they have pushed in these situations before, so now I'm curious what they're gonna do.
Yep.
And they are pushing the 8-pin, so
unfortunately for Visa, they do see that the 8-so was cut, so the 5-so became Nakasuji, which was probably relatively safe enough, I guess. But can't really know that at the time, of course. Oh, Tenpai there for 24QQ, chasing with Ricci only on a 5-8 man weight. And it will doom Poseidon's hand, because any tile that they get rid of along that Manzu block, they need to get rid of for Tenpai.
Yeah, I do not see them pushing now. And they make the right decision here in cutting the E-pin. You can't push against 2 dealers when your hand is not even...
very nice shutdown for 24QQ. Ura2! Oh my god! So, 24QQ, Sumo's the 8-man, reached Sumo Ura2, but more importantly, denies ESP's reach Tanya, or either reach Dora 3 or reach Tanya Dora 3, and the Ura2 as well, which puts them in a very competitive position for first place.
Yeah, very nice actually. I'm surprised to see these people, these players, push against Ricci with this much. Well, perhaps they thought they didn't have a choice, but yeah, we've seen 2 expensive Ricci so far snatched away, and very nice play.
Yep. I think those. Oh crap! ESP with the Huts Anko, Hatsudora-san needs that 3-man and called it down.
Yeah, draws another Dora 3, and obviously the 3-man, the linchpin in the hand here, but it's still early, and this hand could develop very, very quickly as well.
Oh, nice. Upgrades out of it. Can just pawn off the 6-man or the 2-man and leave behind that. Although, let's not understate Visa's hand here. Visa's hand here preparing for maybe even Chun Aka 2 or like a Ricci Dora 2. Is there any Sanchoku chances? And to see a 5-6-7 Sanchoku if you draw very correctly?
Yeah, the possibility is there. And it'll be interesting to see what they actually discard now.
Chun!
Well, that is not the one I would have expected, but it might not be so... Wow, that might actually not be so bad. That actually makes the Sanchoku relatively difficult. But the positive thing is that they can very freely go both 4-so and 7-so, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. ESP with the hand upgrade now in a very good E-Shantan. Can pawn 2-man, 6-man from anywhere, can cheat 3-man.
We're gonna see a direct competition between ESP and Visa. I'm very sure of it. Yeah, Tenpai there for ESP, waiting on the 2-man, 6-man. But Visa, I can't see them not catching up anytime soon. Oh, nice.
That is but actually, yeah, we're not gonna see that 5-man come out probably, because I would imagine they take this Tenpai.
Yep.
Because that is a Tanya Dora Tenpai is the dealer, and you're relatively far behind. They take it as Dharma. What do you make of that?
I probably... It really depends on your willingness to upgrade out of the shape, but because you have the 2-man... not sure, actually. Probably fine. Like, I think as long as you take the Tenpai, it's fine. It's just about...
But they might actually cut the 3-man here.
They might, yeah. Just came out.
It'll be very interesting to see, because that's not actually that bad either. Obviously, the 4-pin is already... that's unfortunate. Well, the 5-man is a little bit confusing. I would have imagined either the 3-man or the 8-man coming out.
Yep.
which would have been not so bad, but very unfortunate deal in there into another expensive hand that didn't necessarily look expensive at all. I mean, you don't see any Dora, but as the dealer with this kind of tenpai, you would generally push one way or another. So a little bit on the unfortunate side.
I do see sort of some different camps of thinking in there because I know that some people would say you're pushing anyway, so you might as well Richi to bring your hand up to Mangan. But there were not insignificant amount of upgrades that you could have picked up. Even something like the 5-pin as well would have upgraded you into the 5-8 man weight. 6 man would have given you a Tanya pin for Ipeiko. Upgrades. As long as you're not tossing Tenpai, I don't really see the issue with Ring. But what's your take? Do you reckon you should bring it up to Manga?
I think the Dama was relatively okay. I mean, it's a little bit tough to say, as it always is with these situations where you have a bad weight shape for either 5,200 or what's the case here for the dealer 7,700. Well, it actually depends a lot on playstyle as well. So one way or another, it's relatively tough to say.
Yeah.
As we see ESP with another, well, being the fastest person here yet again with the Ishanten. Everybody else is still relatively far behind. I don't think anybody else is even in the Anshanten right now. And they, I mean, their hand has a lot of potential to upgrade it as well. They could go for an Itsu. If they draw the 6-man, they just have the Pinfu, and they're probably gonna shift over the dealership away from their rival in second place, who's the dealer right now. And once they get that win, it will be very difficult to catch up to them.
Yep.
Wow, that is a wonderful upgrade for them. Now in perfect Ishanten.
Yeah, push them right. The perfect Ishanten. Although 24Q is catching up, still too
very slowly.
But it's a catch up. Oh,
there's another upgrade to Tanya now for ESP, and now they can call this hand as well. They have just been absolutely blessed today.
Yep.
But as we say that, Novisa is also in Ishanten, and now we are going to see the unmanned call, and now waiting on the 5-8 man.
Novisa's hand gets more and more expensive. Now able to go Tanya Pinfu Dora 2, which is exactly what they need to up in this. Oh, Tenpai! Waiting for the 3.
Then immediately, and they do Richi.
Yeah, no struggle on that Richi.
7-8 Youngman drop in their river, and yeah, ESP obviously not willing to put into that. Even if they lose this hand, they are unlikely to. It'll be unlikely to for them to lose their position of Itsumo here.
But I feel like QQ's got an interesting decision point here because there's 1, 2, 3. Oh wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Suji available, and they're Ishanten for Tanya Pinfu Sanshoku.
Chi.
Okay, and they decide to cheer and just turn Sanshoku. But yeah, they had the choice to make a powerful push or not. Oh boy.
Yeah, and they're gonna deal into that.
Yep.
Yeah, in this format, you do want to protect your dealer turn, but as that happens, now QQ is he went from competing to first place to now fearing even dropping to last place.
Yeah.
And obviously, any hopes of getting first place dash now, and the one smiling he has to be ESP.
Yeah, absolutely. Your direct competitor has sunk themselves down, and also even just on a behavioral thing now, Novisa and 24QQ are very incentivized to play their hands faster rather than for value, which secures your lead even more. Your only threat is now Poseidon, who has 2 people who want to shut out your hand very quickly.
Yeah, so ESP in a comfortable spot, as we see QQ calling wanting to regain some of those points, and also if they can manage it, get to a safer third place or even second place here, perhaps with a direct hit, upgrading their hand a little bit more.
Yep. Also, ESP with Dora 4. that'll also help.
And ESP with Dora 4. But it's a relatively tough hand to push, because judging from the 9-man discard, they obviously don't want to reach this hand, so they don't want to turn into some kind of Tanya. And there is the possibility of that, especially with a 3-pin draw. I mean, they will reach you if they draw an 8-pin or 9-pin or 6 or now. If they don't 2-5, so I'm not sure what they'll do. But yeah, obviously, very, very dangerous draws yet again.
Oh, wow.
Right away, and that is exactly what I imagined would happen with them. They don't take the Ricci, because why would you? You're competing against the dealer with a relatively bad weight, even though the 8-pin is already in the dealer's discard. And they actually have a relatively nice set of upgrades here. They can draw, 6-pin, 7-pin, they can call the 6-0, so that is exactly what happens. So I absolutely agree with that decision, and I love it, honestly. And I can imagine them winning this hand quite easily because they have the 5-pin Anko. That 7-pin is
Wow.
rich get richer.
Are you taking the Furiten Sanmenchan or reach? It'd be Reach Tsumo Dora 5.
Well, I wouldn't, but
okay.
He takes the Sanmenchan on a Dharma. That is something very strange.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure about that one. But I suppose it's mixing the whole. It's probably mixing two philosophies, right? Like, ESP doesn't want to reach you because he doesn't want to leave himself free bait to the dealer, but also he's taking what he perceives as a higher chance of winning, which is sumoing rather than waiting for the 7-pin or 6-0. I think that's like a mixing of the two philosophies. Empire for the dealer, waiting on the 2-5-0. Yes, 2-5-0. For Reach Dora 1. Yeah, Reach Dora 1. Yeah, so we have a 3-10 Sanmenchan versus the 2-5-0, which is 1, 2, 4, 5. 3 left in the wall. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's not so bad. I mean, even if the 2-5-0 is obviously like a tile that you can't really, and we're probably going to see, if what you said is accurate, then we're going to see a fold here, and that's exactly what we see.
Yep. Oh, very nice Tsumo there for 24 QQ. Tsumoing the Nan. Aku Nan 713, right? Enough food, probably? Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving us to South 4, and you know what? ESP is... Oh, what the hell? ESP's hand is absurdly well developed.
Yeah, it's a very nice hand. This hand also, so he's obviously pursuing the pinful path here. Yep. Again, not wanting to Ricci, although at this point, Ricci might actually not be so bad because nobody's going to want to deal into that.
Yeah.
And there's no Agadiyama one way or another.
Yep. Yeah, I was actually going to disagree and say I think reaching makes the most sense in this context because you would force very passive play from 24 QQ and Visa, and if Poseidon pushes against you, you very rarely lose your first play.
Yeah, we lose the very fast Ricci coming out on honestly not a bad weight.
Yeah.
5-8 pin, still 6 tiles left in the wall. And obviously it's an early wall.
Oh, very nice. Reach pin for Tsumo. Dora 1. Ura would be massive. Ura 2 would be massive. Okay, no Ura. But 2600. Oh, hey, that's points of points. You're never going to turn down points. Points of points. So very, very nice.
Certainly not going to turn on the 2,600 point all hand, and that is just one of those hands that you're gonna have to live with if you're one of the other players. There's very little you can do about that. But right now we actually see Poseidon, in last place, but they started an Shantan, and this could turn out relatively expensive as well. I mean, even right now we have the possibility of seeing Ricci pin for Dora. With some very fortuitous draws, we can see this upgrade into something like a Sanchoku if they really want to push for second place.
Yeah.
With that Hanuman Sumo.
Yeah. So that's the weird thing is that in Poseidon's position, very often you'd be like, you should probably just take whatever is in front of you because it's very hard to get to second place. However, Poseidon's hand is aggressively valued enough that one could think about maneuvering the hand to Hanuman Sumo, but they do decide to just take the classical reach pin through Dora to, hey, if you sumo it and add an Ura there, or even just Ipats sumo it, okay. If you just Ipats sumo it, or sumo it and add an Ura, you get second place.
Yeah, you had to get some really, fortunate draws for that to turn into a Sanchoku.
Yep.
And also probably made some tough decisions along the way, but with the 4-pin draw, you obviously don't have a chance of that to begin with. So then you just take the reach, and as you said, even with just one Ura, And obviously, none of the other ones were willing to push against you. I mean, if ESP's hand was a little bit more developed, depending on playstyle, we might see them pushing into that. But I don't think anybody else really.
One era would be massive. It would launch them from last to second. One era! It gets there!
Yeah.
Alright, reach Pinfu, Tsumo, Aka 2, and the important Uradora sends Poseidon from last place to second place, and it puts Novisa on 300-point last place. That hurts. You know?
That hurts, especially considering they weren't, well, I mean, the Hanuman Sumo, not really something you would generally expect from like a 5th turn Ricci, but
yep.
Yeah, they are in a world of hurt right now. I mean, you just look at that point difference from 300 points. I mean, the Uma with a -20 obviously kicking in massively here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you know what? Lucky sometimes. And even like Sumo odds on the Pinfu, what, 30%? Ura odds on a Pinfu, what, 30%?
I mean, that sounds right. I don't know statistics, I'm sorry.
I just heard it quoted as that. Anyways, we are joined by the big man himself, ESP. Hello, welcome, ESP. You're muted.
Nice muted right now.
Hello.
Hello. Congrats on your win.
Thanks.
Before we get into it, Shory, was there any moments that you wanted to go through in the Hancha?
Yes, but I haven't written down the round. Well, basically, it was the Kawashite that I was interested in, the push against the push with the Forso Kanchan. I believe it was.
That was
that might have been the 6,000 point hand in these four.
That was tough.
Yeah, right.
That was tough.
Yeah, certainly very difficult situation. Yeah.
Okay.
So what were some of your thoughts going into that?
Well, right now I just have to Tenpai, right? If not, I'll definitely lose points.
That's definitely true, yes.
Yeah, so I have Itman to play, so because it's safe. So yeah, just Tenpai first.
Yeah, that is a very that I thought was just a very nice play in general. Well, there's not really much to say about that. You obviously take the Tenpai with a safe tile, and then that 7-so situation, I believe, was a little bit tough, but whether you...
It's... Well, the 3-so is the Dorasuji, so... I could deal into a 4-5-6-6 shape, and looking at the 8-9-1 discard before the Ricci, I was like half hoping it'll be a 4-7-1 wait. I'm not sure.
That would be very nice, yes.
It's pretty interesting that you mentioned it that way, because when you're choosing the cheaper deal in, generally you choose the Dorasuji, not the Dorosoba. Because a 7-so almost always, if it deals into a roundment, it deals into something with a Dora in it. But if you deal a 3-so, you could deal into like a 4-5-so and you just hit the Yasume side. Which is like...
Well, here's a little bit more difficult. Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't speak over, I guess. But...
That's the 3-10 issue, right? If I draw the...
Yeah.
Niso or someone deals the Niso, then immediately comes up the 6-so.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
No, I think you definitely made the correct decision, and obviously it paid off massively. But that was sort of, I believe, almost like the turning point in the hand. I mean, you were obviously up a little bit big before that, but when you're 2,000 points here, then I mean, you never really lost that lead.
Anything could do it here, so I just have to keep fighting.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah, obviously with no safety in the hand, one way or another, a very nice victory, and then the rest of the hand we did see some stalwart defensive prowess keeping that first place. So yeah, very nice.
The only thing that I wanted was the choice of taking the Furitan Sanminchan without reaching.
Yeah, then what's that?
I forgot which hand that was. It was this one's.
Yeah.
Right here. Yep.
Yeah, that was very, very interesting.
Yeah, this one was. Yeah, I thought this was. I had my own theories, but I wanted to ask, like, why did you choose to take the Sanminchan and also not reach it?
I mean, if it's a summon chant. I mean, it's free 10, so I can only summon it, right? So there's no point reaching. Since the Oya wouldn't be scared anyway, he's essentially forced to attack. Then if I draw his winning tile, then it might just be throwing the game. As for why I chose the summon chant is because it looks like it has more outs. Yeah, and has a pretty high chance of drawing it.
Yep. All right.
I'm not too hopeful about the Shanpon though.
Yep. No, that's what I was saying during the commentary. Basically, was what I was thinking. I thought that like you were half trying to be sure that you didn't have to deal a life tile into a deal Arichi, and also you thought that Samoing was better than running the Shabo. So yeah,
Yep.
that was my suspicion.
Yeah. Not saying you made the wrong choice at all. I just thought it was certainly interesting. It certainly it
Could
was
also pawn the 7-pin and have a Nobitan somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, Nobitan 2/5, so you could develop one.
Yeah, like shifting around.
Yep. Makes sense. But yeah, congrats on your win. Very, very nice. Yeah, I think that the big drama moment was one that you weren't in the decision of, which was when the Kamicha hit the Haneman Sumo and went from last to second place. But at that point, you didn't really care because you were miles above everybody else.
Well, ideally, I want to keep farming, but
yeah. At some point, you have to. Just expect. Okay, well, I'm first place. I was actually saying then that if your hand was a little bit better, you might have pushed, but your hand I think was really in shambles at the time, so
yeah,
very very difficult.
I think it was like look at this hand, like maybe, but maybe if you cut some of the honors, but very often it feels like it's a fold.
Chanta.
Congrats on your win. Very nice very nice boost in points for AUNSW Wanderers. And yeah, congrats, and hopefully your future Hanchans go as well as this one.
Okay, thank you.
Alright, let's see if there's still one other game, so I might as well just jump into it. South 3. Sumo. Oh, we jump into it Sumo.
We jump into it Sumo. Yasuo mid Sumo. But it is Ipatsu apparently. 1,500. They'll actually put them in first place for us. Miko getting the better here of. What the hell's this guy's name? Alecat?
Alicat, I think.
Alicat.
Well, I've been pronouncing it Alicat, but I have no idea if it's Alecat or Alicat or what.
No, in Alicat. Not Alicat probably wouldn't fit in 10 more, right? Isn't this 7? Well, what doesn't matter. So yeah, we have this all that's going on here, and yeah, obviously Miko in first place, Elcat a little bit behind in second place, and then we have AKTK in third place as the last dealer with potential Itsu going on here, depending on what they draw. And Veggie, I believe your teammate, in a little bit of a tough position where their hand looks relatively fast, but they're gonna need at least manga. Actually,
I'm pretty sure with the Tom Pandora one, this is a manga unsummoable hand.
It's true, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think this is about the hand that you do want to pick up, because it also, like, okay, no, it's not a Hanemon Sumo away, unfortunately, so you will not really duct into second place all that often, but I guess if you get the Baimon Sumo. But I think the bad part about the hand is the fact that Alicat has called out twice and is probably Tenpai at this point.
Is in Tenpai, for sure, yeah. And it's just up to see what weight they pick here. Probably gonna end up being the Shanpon, but I've been wrong before. So Vegicat's still in the Unshanten here. Obviously, the nice thing about their hand is that they can pick up any Akka and integrate it into their hand. But yeah, the just very steep when you see somebody like that.
Oh no,
two calls when you're still. We do see potential. Yeah,
Alicat would have summoned the Penchan, but unfortunately, they couldn't have known that. But yeah, unfortunately, if Veggie gets the Tenpai here, he will deal in. There's just no way of avoiding it.
Yeah, the only way of avoiding it is drawing 5 mana, 8 mana first.
See ya.
That's unfortunately not happening. So,
yep.
Yeah, the truth hurts.
Uh,
As we see,
no.
oh,
Okay,
wait, hang
okay.
on. Okay, so he's taking that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
obviously
actually,
the 2000 point had not enough for Alley Cat, but faced with a Ricci, they don't really want to. They don't really want to risk that. There was maybe a thought here of skipping that run and really going for the first place, since chances of dropping to fourth are not. I guess there were plenty of chances of dropping to fourth.
yeah, yeah.
If
I
you push
think
too
that
greedily.
skipping the run would probably only be a thing if you were in a much, much larger gap between yourself and last. So let's say it's one of those like Titan situations where like the 3 and 4 are like 5,000 and 6,000 points, and then 1 and 2 are like 45,000, 46,000, 45,000, 48,000, like that. And where like if you deal in, you will never lose your positioning. It probably can
Yeah,
play around with that a bit more, especially because the UMA up is so huge, right? Like going from second
yeah,
to
it's
first is like
gigantic.
40,000 points. So there's probably
As
more to
Alley
play
Cat
with at
actually,
that point. But
as Alley Cat saying in the chat actually that he was doing the math, but
hmm,
yeah, I don't think it's a wrong decision at all. Obviously, if you skip that run, you also only have 2 tiles left
yeah,
in the
yeah,
wall. So maybe if you had like an actually good weight, you could do this kind of fancy stuff. But I think Alec had definitely making the adult play here.
yeah. I agree with that. It's the adult play, but it's an interesting component in that Alicat mentions that their team needed the first, so you could almost maybe switch it up to inspiration thing because I think if I remember correctly, Alicat is a part of Ichiriki Fingers.
Yeah, currently in second to last place.
Yeah,
Still 2,240 points behind Tanya Sensation in the playoff spot.
exactly. So,
Um,
and with less than 10 Hanchans left, it might make sense to pass it. And also, like, you might even be able to bait out Miku, right? If you see the 7-man Richu, and then it passes through your turn, and then Miku drops the 7-man, you might be able to get it that way.
yeah, but that's again so difficult when
Yeah,
there's so few tiles.
yeah, yeah,
And I think even when you're in second to last place, having this kind of second place, and it was like what plus 10 points, but that's still much better than not getting there.
yeah, yeah. Definitely a lot better
And
than going.
you know, and you know, 8 or 9 Hanshan or whatever it is that is left is still it's not that much time, but a lot can still happen that time.
Yeah, yeah,
If you get into an accident, you catch like a bad third place, or you catch like fourth place there, then your chances are basically shattered. So
yeah, yeah.
I think I think it was good decision making from Ellicott here.
I think personally, I'm not quite sure. This hits the weird margin. If there was like 5 or less Hanchans left, I think I would have a lot preferred that they skipped. But because you have 9 left, I think taking a safe second might be, because as you say, if you take another last, you're really. But it's weird for me. I'm not quite sure what to think about it because yeah, like if you had like 5 or less, you just don't have time to make up that 240 point gap, that 170 point gap. You have to be going for the big wins. But with 9, you can really spread yourself to averaging maybe plus 20, plus 30 per Hanchan, and that's more
Easily
achievable.
done. But I mean, yeah. Um, with 4 or 5 left, I think you kind of forced into certain situations. I mean, this comes down to tournament experience and stuff like that, which
Yeah,
a lot of other players probably have more than that, more than me in these formats. But
yeah,
yeah, with 4 to 500, you probably need to take it, but not take it rather.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think with the double, it's probably more of a personal play style and even maybe even a little bit of confidence in your teammates. If you feel like your teammates can pull out more desperation stuff. Definitely a difficult decision. I can't really fault it when you've got 9 rounds left. All right, that ends the first round of Hanchans, and hey, we are finished early for once, so we will be right back. Hanchans will start at the o'clock, so they will start on the dot, and we will be coming in at about 5 minutes after when the spectator link is live. So we'll be right back. Hold on, and yeah, we'll be back from the Mahjong. Hello, hello. Welcome back to ARMA League. We are just entering into the final Hanchan of the week. Yep. And we enter right now with AKTK in the east seat, Benson in the south seat, AV in the west seat, and Cheese in the north seat. Dora is the north. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, this is the table to look out for, definitely. I mean, we see that by the ranks, but also if you look at the standings, all of these teams, you know, the Powerpuff Boys and Junk'n'Run are the top two, and the other ones still comfortably in the playoffs. So this is definitely the game you want to watch. As we see, actually, AV picking up a very, very early Ishanten for perhaps Richi Tanya. Their weight is relatively good. The Uki rather is relatively good right now.
Yep.
And everybody else not quite there yet. I mean, AKTK has the Hakuanko, so their hand kind of turn up very quickly. As we see Benson going for that Chinitsu, or perhaps Honitsu. Not much to say about Cheese's hands. They are still lagging behind. They don't have very much value. Their only hope is calling a Hatsu, but then they don't have a pair, so quite a difficult situation for them.
Yep. Oh, Hatsanko. Very nice.
Hatsanko, unfortunately, is still kind of lagging behind here, as we see AV actually picked up a Sanchoku potential with a 4-pin draw. A little bit on the unlikely side, but not possible.
AKTK Tenpai waiting for the Khan 8-pin for Haku only, but very likely to try and force this into a Haku Honitsu.
Yeah, something like that. Sure, while we were talking about it, she's also picked up a Shanten and might actually pick up Tenpai now, and he does.
Oh,
wow.
Oh, decision!
And the 8.
Oh, this is such an interesting tile to draw. Do you take the 1 Shanten for guaranteed Mangan?
Yeah, I think you definitely do that. It's actually AV called for a hand that cannot be anything more than 1,000 points, so they kind of they sort of think their hand value, but wanting to go for that fast victory, seeing other people's Tenpai, which, you know, they were, Cheese picking up the win here.
Yep, he's winning on the Hanchan 7, so for Hatsu only shutting down AKTK's monster. Hey, that's been the narrative of the day. People make monsters, and people get cheap hands to shut them out.
Yeah, that happens a lot in Mahjong in general. So actually AV picking up another very nice starting hand with 2 Dora and a good shape, really. I mean, this could go for Ipeko, this could just be a Richi. Very nice stuff in general.
AKTK also with a very, very nice hand. 2 Dora, lots of very nice shapes. The same story here for AKTK. Cheese probably is something a little bit awkward. It's got some shapes in the Chun pair, but how willing they are to call the Chun pair is an entirely different point.
You see Benson picking up his Ishanten, and now having the Kan here from AV. Yeah, I mean, it's relatively early. Their shape is still relatively good, so I don't think an Unkan is too bad here. They could have maybe considered cutting the 2-man without calling Kan, but I don't think that's necessarily anything wrong they did right now. They now actually pick up an Ishantan, but the Kansha on the 8th, so maybe a little bit bad. But once you have a Kan on the field, you really need to hurry it up. So we are going to see them pick up actually kind of 3 so here. So still wanted to keep that 5-man alive a little bit, maybe hoping to upgrade their shape.
Yep, or even like not backfire and like a 5-man draw, perhaps.
That is that probably also factors into them. Everybody else, I mean, Benson is an Ishantan right now. Their shape isn't particularly good. They have a lot of Kanchan. Now getting rid of one of the Kanchan here. As and that 5-man draw immediately. I mean, it's not an account, but that still upgrades their shape quite a lot.
And so
waiting on the
cheat off by Cheese. Cheese posturing for either a Honitsu or a Chun only. Will depend if they're willing to go to that round. Chi on the 3-pin for AKTK puts him into Ishantan for Tanya Odora 3 on very, very good shapes. Amazing shapes.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. They can call. I mean, wow, we do see the Chun draw, so I would imagine they cut the ESO here. I don't really see a player like that going for. I mean, the 1-3-3-4 so shape is very difficult. They actually cut the 3 so over the ESO. Wow. So not willing to pick up the pawn 10-pi on the 3 so.
Oh,
I mean, obviously the 9 is already out.
AV could go for Swanko. There is Shantan.
Yeah, and
2-5 so 10-pi for Cheese. For Chun only. Oh my god, I don't even know what's going on. I can't really even process this game so far. There's a lot of... So
what we do have is AKTK with the best weight here. You know, as you said, and now we're gonna see a deal in here. Yeah, this was what I was going to bring up, is that unfortunately with their choice to go for the Swank potential, AV essentially left the... Oh, look at the starting hand from AKTK.
What is this?
We do not have time to talk about fire hands.
What is this?
Pick up a 3 so.
Okay then.
Yeah. I mean, this hand is obviously gigantic, but the problem with this hand is that could it turn out even more gigantic? I mean, if it wasn't like a 2-so or a Shahi, I mean, all of each already out, but I think we might actually see a push for Honitsu here as well. Although I got 7 so early, so they're probably not focused on that at all, and they're just wanting to go call the Haku and essentially go for the Mangan.
Although the narrative of the day has been shut down, so we see Benson's already Ishanten on a very, very good Ishanten. Or, it's like, what, headless plus more?
So it's not quite... Like, it's not quite headless. Well,
it's headless because you can draw the
one way or another, it's good.
Yep.
As we do see AKTK actually keeping the Honitsu potential alive, as I said earlier. You know, if they draw 2-so or 4-so, certainly we are going to see them cut those Pinzu. And once they draw ESO or 5-so, it's a bit more complicated.
Interesting question, although I basically should already know the answer. What do you do if you draw something like the Aka 5? Even leave the hint of Chitoi alive? Oh wait, yeah, I didn't think you would.
No, because keeping the hint of Chitoi alive is will actually throw Reorg either downweight. Like, no matter what you discard at that point, you are sort of giving up something, and that's not something you generally want to do. I mean, if they call the Haku here, they're in an immediate Mangan 10-pi. They don't even need to do that.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! Read your pots, Hatsudor too. Okay. I'm somehow that's only a Mangan. I can't even like fathom how that hand is only a Mangan. But I mean, there we go. That's a very good hand for AKTK. No complaints there. And unfortunately, that time around, you can't shut out AKTK for the... Was that the 3rd time they've made a monster hand, or a 2nd time, John?
Well, it's essentially I believe the 2nd hand, but it doesn't really... This is the one they actually won, so obviously big there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Alright, well that's going to be very nice for AKTK. Yeah, puts them into a very nice minor league. We go into the East 4 Cheese's dealership with the 1-mon. A lot of people have a lot of difficulty using 1-mons.
Yeah, essentially only if they pair up, but then you have the problem that sort of everybody is keeping. Well, okay, 2 people are keeping one right now, so that's not going to be that easy either. As AKTK actually going for the Chitoy Ishanten here, it's not so bad, as they actually still have the choice of going for either the Chitoy or a normal hand, which is always what you want to see. And we know the 2 souls, so
could even be
yeah,
Honitsu.
still keeping both alive, and we could maybe see something like the fabled. Well, we're not gonna,
No,
but
no.
not the fabled Honitsu Chanta Diampeko. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they cut. Okay, so they pick up the 2, so immediate Tenpai. Honestly, not so bad, considering you don't see any Dora and you expect them to be somewhere. I mean, they're not right now. Nobody really has very many Dora, but once you see no Dora and you get a chance to pick up that Tenpai, you generally will want to. That's what we see AKTK doing here.
6-0 was offered to Cheese, but Cheese chose not to take it, not wanting to cheapen their potential Mangan hand. Anya Dora 1.
Yeah.
And maybe also
I would imagine
that.
I would imagine if another one comes out, they will call it now. At that point, you know, there was still an okay amount of 3/6 soul left. And obviously the 5 could also be a pair. So calling that is not so bad, but it sort of makes the hand a little bit less flexible. As we actually saw here is maybe going for Honitsu. We see another Honitsu yet again. Obviously need to call the Sha, which is non-left in the wall, and the East here. And also needing the 5-man. So a little bit on the sketchy side is Honitsu, but they draw another upgrade for it immediately. Another Ishanten. It's a relatively tough Ishanten as far as that goes, but not so bad.
Yep. Cheese also in ideal Ishanten 7. Yes.
I would imagine they do.
Elongation of the Tenpai here. Walking away on the 1-4, so 3. Okay.
Yeah, definitely an elongation of the Tenpai here. And okay, so that 3-man, a little bit. Oh, they're probably going to cut the Hatsu here. Maybe not.
I don't see the 3-man being cut. You either go for Menhunch.
I think they Sha because it's dead. And actually also Cheese avoiding the deal in with the Fosso here, but that Fosso is going to become a problem later.
The problem with the Sha cut is that you just lost your chances for Menhunch Chitoy, and they would have Tenpai'd right there. Well, no, they would have put an Ishanten for Menhunch Chitoy.
They definitely would have been Shantan. I guess still keeping hopes alive of calling Manzu. Obviously, that chance is dashed now.
So yeah, unfortunately, Cheese for Tenpai and cuts the Forso into AKTK for 1,300 points. You know, not the worst deal in, of course, and doesn't really even create too much of a difference in the point differential. Shuts out AV's Honitsu hand, but I think their hand was at least 2 Shanten, if I'm right.
Maybe, yeah, definitely.
So not too much. We see Benson with a pretty decent hand. Alright, yeah, we'll want to at least get that 6-man, but can get out of that block by drawing a 4-man or even like a 3-man getting a card. Cheese with some pretty decent saves, potential for 678 Sanshoku, but no direct Dora use as of yet. ATK's probably got the worst hand. I really can't see how we do with this.
Yeah, very difficult. You're relying very fortuitous draws here, and everybody else is sort of a little bit ahead of you. So quite a difficult spot for them. I mean, the positive thing about this is that they have the North pair, which will serve as safe tiles in a pinch, and they're likely to need those safe tiles. She's here faced with a decision to keep this 4-man or not, and they do not. They color idiot, which, well, you know, another good draw for Benson. Still in Yan Shanten, but a much better one now. Needing a pair somewhere. So already actually.
Oh wait, hold on a second. That Aka 5. Oh, 6-man fill. Whoa there. Hey, Benson elects to skip the headless Ishanten for a guaranteed Ramen Ramen Ishanten, guaranteeing that they will not. Well, one, being able to get the Soundtracker chance, and two, not being forced to go to a Tanki way. Why can't I speak?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, very, very. That's a. It's a relatively standard play in this situation to confirm the head here. It sort of depends on what else is in your hand, but here it's definitely the correct call, especially as you pointed out. The Sunshine potential is obviously massive.
Yep.
You either get, oftentimes you either get the Sunshine or you get the direct sentence with the Forso, so there's a lot of good stuff. Check out the butt. Yeah. And everybody else still in the Hanchans.
Oh, upgrade to Tan Yao. Ooh, that hand's gonna.
Actually,
we should be careful. That might be a monster. Interesting decision from Benson not to cut the 1-so there. Loses the chance to integrate the 4-5-6 Sanchoku into their hand.
Yeah, really focus on the 5-6-7 Sanchoku here, which I'm not really sure what to think about that, but I mean, obviously right now what you see is two, I mean, I guess from the study was 2-4 pin, right now we have 3-4 pin already out. Did I call that hand? So
guaranteeing the 3-9, either Tanya Dora Dora or Tanya Dora Sanchoku. And yep, we'll take a direct hit off of cheese for Tanya Dora Sanchoku 3900. That's very nice. That's kind of what you want to get yourself out of last place, and it shuts out first place's dealership. And with scores as thin as they are, first is very achievable for someone in Benson.
Maybe start in Ishanten in this hand, which we definitely need to take a look at, because this is a potential. It might even be something like that. If they draw the 6-man, they have a Sanchoku chance here, despite it being this early. Yeah, well, I was actually thinking about calling this calling the 7-pin for Benson here, because that does kind of lower the hand value a lot. But obviously, this is the 4th one out that you see, and there might even be more in people's hands. So it's a very difficult situation. But they called it like right away. They knew right away that they wanted to call it. Probably made that decision in advance.
Yeah, they probably thought they probably thought well in advance if they were going to take it, and yeah, they got to the point where they did. AV, not much to say about AV's hand. I think that 6-man they have a chance for Tanpin Sanchoku. Sorry, reach Dora Dora Sanchoku. What else do we see? Benson on Ishant. Oh, actually didn't. Definitely wants that 2-man draw, but will reach you if they draw the 1 also. Well, I'd be shocked if they didn't reach 1
Well, we'll see. Obviously now they don't need to make that decision anymore. They just do a nice upgrade. But I could have imagined them not going for that Tenpai. Obviously now they're gonna reach anything.
Very
That's a Mintan Pin Aka. A dealer Mangan already. I mean,
potential Hanuman if they can sumo and hit an Ura or a Potts sumo as well. Now AV is in an awkward position because they really just weren't lucky enough to fill out their shapes on time. So now they're kind of stuck.
8-man.
Yeah.
Wow, they got 8-man of all tiles.
Why not?
And it immediately they get rewarded. And this is 147 per win. I mean, a few are already out, but those are still a relatively good weight.
What's wrong with the 8-man draw?
I mean, it's a lifetime Ipatsu.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Sorry. I saw them cutting the 8-man as a decision to be directly competitive without having to cut the Aka 5-man. So it made sense. It makes sense if you really want to like push your hand in. And like if you look at Benson's pond, at the time Benson had 4 Suji in their pond or something like that.
Yeah, there were absolutely no safe tiles there.
Yeah. Well, no safe tiles. Yeah, actually, those weren't any safe tiles. Oh, unfortunate deal in for Benson, dealing into the reach Dora 2 on the 1 pin. No Ura, but hey, the bitter pill there is not the dealing in, it's the losing your hand.
Losing your hand, losing your last dealer turn, being in a bad last place. I mean, they need a Mangan at some point.
Yeah.
And this hand is not going to bring it for them, to be sure. I mean, and then after that kind of deal, and you get this kind of starting hand. So, very unfortunate for them. They didn't decide to go for something they could dream. I would imagine they go for like a very far off Honitsu here, but very very likely not to succeed if you look at everybody else's hand. I mean, Baby is already in sort of the Enchanted right now, but with overall okay shapes.
Oh my
She
god,
is also
she's...
just really ideal one.
Yeah. Oh my
No.
god, the 6-man. Oh. Someone stop these draws. These draws are too fire right now.
And another great draw. And actually, what we have to look out for here, Cheese could also very easily make this into a Sanchaku, like a T4 pin Sanchaku. This is where I would imagine the Dora coming out.
Yeah.
Because at this point, you're really not using it.
Yeah, I would also imagine Dora comes out, but I was gonna say that he might actually really want the Bungun Sumo to get themselves into a nice position in South 4. They might want to force the Tunki or the Sanshoku.
Well,
Which is
I kind
why
of
they
must.
might cut.
And AKTK going for the Ricci on the 3 score, which is 2 left in the wall. Very difficult weight, even from their perspective. Obviously, it's 5,200 points, and so there's a lot of merit in this. And pushing against this is a little bit on the tough side as well for everybody. I mean, we did see the Chi, but that's not necessarily a push.
Immediate Ricci there from the dealer waiting for the 3-6 pin for Reach, pin for Dura 1. I find the decision to Ricci that pretty interesting because, as you say, there were 2 outs, but more importantly to me, they got rid of a... What's this shape called? Yonrenke? Oh, okay, they get the sumo. Very nice Mangan sumo for AKTK, but they got rid of a 2-3-4-5 pin shape, which upgrades out pretty easily into a lot of different shapes. Seems like a very needless risk to put yourself in when you can put yourself into a better position for at least a better tempi.
Obviously, it worked out well for them, so from a results perspective, nothing to argue against. And we're already in Ornas after like 10 minutes.
Yeah, this Hanchan has been going on for about 20 minutes so far, and we're already in Ornas.
I mean, that is, I suppose, sort of what happens in when we have all these like Tokujo level players. They play very, very quickly. We've seen almost no lag on any decision. They just know immediately what they want to cut. They have something set in their mind.
Yep.
And the situation is difficult. I mean, Cheese with the last dealer tourney is really the only person who's a threat to AKTK's first place.
Yep.
But the shape that they have, they really want to call the South. They want to because then with this starting hand, they're not going to be able to take in one blow, so they're going to want to rack up those dealer Ranchan. And Benson in a world of hurt. They sort of need I mean, they need a Mangan Sumo. Not really Mangan Sumo, I guess, but that is that is the most like shit when they could obviously win a like a 50 through the hand, but quite unlikely here. So what we're going to likely see them do is try to stack up something like a Sanchaku, but their hand is still in shambles, so
yeah,
quite difficult.
Both their hand and their draws are in shambles right now.
Yeah, and she's here having the 2 calls, cutting the Aka 5-man, and the ideal draw here is a 9-man, and then we might actually do, and if they draw another 9-man, like another Dora, then we might actually see like a comeback in one go, because that might be like a 6K all hand.
Yep. Oh, one just got drawn out, unfortunately. Empire 147-man. Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. I need to stop. 7-man. Or they might cut the 9 pin.
Very interesting decision from their perspective.
They cut the 9 pin. Yep. Sorry, I spoke too soon. Yep. So I think Cheese is doing what you're saying. Determined to do what you just said, which is try to do this in one bullet. So very likely Cheese will transition to a 9-man Tanki and see if they can get the Hanuman. Yaku Hanetsu Doru. Unfortunately for them, the 9-man is already dead. Sorry, the 9-man.
It is very dead. As they draw another 6-man here, so we'll see what happens when they draw something really good like the 6-man. Because I mean that's already a Mangan, and at that point I would imagine they take that. They don't take the 9-man Tanki.
Yep.
Because even from their perspective, it has to be very difficult. But as we say, all of this, Benson has actually brought his side up to Ishanten, and even though the Sanchaku is gone now, even something like Richitsumo Tanyao with 1 Ura will get them there, or they could try and upgrade.
No, they're going to go for the Inju.
Yeah, that's what they're going to try to do. And also probably not wanting to cut the 7-man against the dealer right now.
Yep.
It is going to pull them back a little bit because there's not really a whole lot of Manzutats in that area left.
Yep.
Obviously, as we said already, the 9-man are dead. 2 6-man in Cheese's hands, so tough one way or another. But from their perspective, from Benson's perspective, you would imagine the dealer to be 10-pine to continue their dealer turn.
Yep.
So it's probably not too bad.
10-pie for Cheese. Waiting for the 2-man, 6-man. There is still 1 2-man in the wall, but all 6-mans have been extinguished. 10-pie here for AKTK for the pen, 7-man for Hatsu, Aka, Dora. And, okay, Nan draw into immediate Khan. No extra Dora for them, but it does give an extra Dora to Benson, who could have really used it, but unfortunately they sort of deconstructed their hand.
Yeah, they do the 1-man, and they decided not to play this hand anymore. And AKTK drawing the 2-man here on the Haite, and that is never coming out of their hand.
What do you mean? Matempai? What could possibly be a threat right now? And yeah, and that moves us along to South 4-1, Dora 1, so AKTK working with a very impressive hand again.
Certainly very impressive. A lot of different ways to turn this hand into Yaka full 10-pie as well, so you don't have to Richi. I mean, even just the 7-man draw essentially gets you there, or the Chun they just had. As we see Cheese, most likely they will also Cheese will probably keep this Honey's option alive. Obviously, it's a little bit difficult because Iso is the Dora and they have one of them, and they don't really have enough blocks to fill out a Honitsu right now. And yeah, they decided to not do any of that.
Jesus, AKTK's hand is more and more impressive with more draws.
Yeah, it certainly is. The 8-9-man is still sort of the linchpin, but I mean, once they call the Chun, that shape is going to come out, and at that point, it doesn't really matter. We might even see them call. Okay, so obviously the Chun comes out first here. But yeah, AKTK definitely with the fastest hand here. I mean, Benson's still trying to build up a Mangan with their hand, which doesn't really look like it's happening. But the other real threat right now is Avi, who haven't been able to keep up.
Offer to Cheese, and Cheese is tempted to go after Zuke on the hut too, and yeah, does decide to to progress in that direction, but doesn't want to keep the 4-6 pin, and will get rewarded for it because immediately gets the hut. Not rewarded for it rather, but wanting to again try and do this gap closer in a bullet.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's essentially what that is. And actually now, while we talked about the other one, Avi did get his 10-pie, and he is calling Ricci. Obviously, no Yako on that 10-pie. He used to have a bad trade in Pinzu as well, but drew into a good one as we spoke. So sort of why I said why this hand was looking slow, but then he just drew the 5-pin, and now the 4-7 pin 10-pie, which is, we'd imagine that to maybe come out even from AKTK if he just made the right draw, but now safely stashed away in the Chi. Now it's sort of a fight between them. I mean, AKTK are unlikely to become particularly afraid. And yeah, they can win here.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Avi, that Ricci stick actually put them into 3rd place. So yeah, we do end up with that Hanchan, AKTK in 1st, Cheese in 2nd because of basically a perfect scenario for them. In that their competitor Ricci with less than 1,000 points difference between them, and someone else dealt in. Cheese in 2nd, AV in 3rd, and Benson in last place. Let's see if we can pull up AKTK for an interview. But yeah, that was really fast pacing, that Hanchan. Just sort of I don't know.
That's what I've been. That's what I've been thinking. Okay. I mean, that's generally what you say. Sorry, it's not my first language, so like.
Okay. Yep.
I'm okay is something you generally say like, oh, hello, congratulations.
Congrats on your win. Yeah. All right, congrats on your win. Before we get into it, Shory, do you have any moments you want to pick out for this Hanchan?
Well, I'd really like to review the Sensual Ricci, if you remember that.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, actually, that's what I was going to pick out if Shory didn't pick it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Did you want to go first? Like, what were your thoughts?
Well, basically, what I'd like to do is like reach as soon as possible, and yeah, considering two of them are already out, so I don't know. It is basically like a 50-50 choice to me on Richie or not. I don't know what you thought about it.
Shory, what do you think?
Well, I wouldn't have taken that Tenpai, but but it's potentially not so bad. I generally probably would have cut the ISO here, because even if you do another 2, so you still have a Tanyo chance, but obviously worked out great for you one way or another, and I mean, you can kind of see that your at least Shimocha, 3 so unlikely to be stuck in many people's hands. So maybe it's not so bad. Not a decision I would make, but oh, maybe not so bad.
For me,
Yeah,
I think that I would not have taken the Pen 3 So Tenpai because you have the 2345 pin, which upgrades very easily into better Tenpai. There's a multitude of draws that you can get along the 2345 pin that get you to a very, very nice Tenpai. And even what Shory says, if you draw the 2 So, you can suddenly drop the 2 1-mans and go for a Tanyao Tenpai a lot faster. I think that if you take the Pen 3 So, you put yourself into a lot. You have it probably at most one tile left. If you get chased very
But
quickly.
what you also have to consider is that if the dealer has a bad shape, then they're not going to want to chase you, because then they might drop into third or even fourth place. But well, it's difficult because they also just get a pinch on shape from their hand. But there's a lot to think about in this situation. And obviously, you have 5,200 point Tenpai, so, and your first place in the secured hall, so it's very difficult. It can be very difficult to pass that up.
Yeah.
It's basically
like how
what I was seeing is that Sensor is like not very difficult to come out based on what they have played. Yeah. The only problem is how many are left.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree that with your pawn strength is very high, so it's very likely that if they draw a 3 So that they can't use and have a hand worth pushing, they will just cut it straight into you. I'm more talking about just raw availability. And for me, it's the strength of the 2345 pin. It's a generally very good shape to build out around empires.
Yeah. I also agree with that.
And even if you draw the 3 So, I'm not terribly upset by a furry because the 1 So looks very nice on this point.
I really love this format where we just take like the most questionable format and then we go in endlessly on it for like 10 minutes.
Hey, that's Mahjong, right? You question a situation and it doesn't even change the results of it like 50% of the time.
Oh, what a cruel format.
But yeah, Shory, did
I mean,
you have any...
not to take away from anything here. I mean,
yeah.
Very well here, and obviously being able to deserve first place.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's a really good job that you managed to get through this first place, and you had a very powerful table, yet everyone was playing very fast and very efficiently. I don't think I saw any efficiency mistakes, or like if there were lower efficiency stuff, it was intense. So like towards the end game, we saw Benson take very inefficient routes because he was aiming for Mangan Sumo. So he'd purposely shift his hand to something that he needed to fill somewhere else. So yeah, it was a really good job, and yeah, congrats on your win.
Yeah, thanks.
Shory, do you have any moments in the Hanchans that you wanted to talk with AKTK about?
Everything went by so quickly that no, I think it was generally just relatively solid play. So nothing except that Senzo stuff. Nothing really stood out to me there now.
Yep, fair enough. Well, congrats on your win, AKTK. Hopefully I wish your team luck in the future rounds, and hopefully we'll have you back up on the desk.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So that concludes today's day of Mahjong. Before we head out, we're going to have a quick look at the standings and the results of the other tables. So for the tables we did not watch, it's this one, and the results are on the screen as they are. Yeah, and going into the standings, these are the standings as of the end of the day. We have Tile Dreaming in first place, Junk and Ron in second, Powerpuff Boys in third, Atasuki in fourth, Dark Flame Curse Totoro in fifth, Water in the Fire sixth, Tanya Sensation in seventh, AU and SW Wanderers in eighth, Unistar Fan Club in ninth, Can't for Fun in 10th, Itchy Richie Finger in 11th, and Long John Silver in 12th place. This is a pretty interesting. I don't normally do this now, but I think this is just something worth talking about. We're entering the home stretch of ARMA League with like 8 Hanchans or less left.
Yeah, the last fourth. That was the moment to be clutch in the fourth quarter.
Exactly, and like you see a lot of like texture in especially teams. So the cutoff, the gap between 9th and 8th is very large. It's about 150 points. So it does require that the teams in the bottom 4 have to play very aggressively. Like they need those first places. It's like do or die at this point. So I'm wondering how that'll affect the future rounds of ARMA League. Will we see very risky play because, what's the point of not doing risky play and stuff like that? And similarly, as we enter the final stretch, will we see passivity come from any of the teams? Like maybe a team like Water and the Fire, will they try to mitigate losses because as long as they don't lose too harshly, they will always remain off the cutoff? I'm not saying that there's obviously that much choice in a Hanchan. Sometimes you just play the hands that you're given, but it's a passivity to avoid cutoff is always interesting, especially because the first cutoff has no halving, so you don't actually gain points if you're lower cutoff.
Yeah, well, it's really. I would say it's pretty difficult. I mean, I think I said this in the last, in the finals of the last season, where we did essentially maybe see a little bit of too much passivity from the top players. And if you're in a situation like Water in the Fire, even just playing passively, you rack up you can rack up something like third places, and all of a sudden, you're in a 2 Hanchan situation where maybe you're not out of the playoffs, but maybe you're like just like 50 or 60 points above, and that can be a very scary situation, especially if you're then facing against some of these teams below the playoffs in one Hanchan, because then you can have enormous. You can have like 100 point swings in one Hanchan if you play against one of those teams.
Yeah.
It can be very scary. So I would just right now would still advocate for relatively standard play. If you can catch up for first place, you put yourself in an even better position. Yep. I don't think it's quite the time to play sort of passively yet.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think I was just bringing up more as like an idea if there is a shift in play styles, but yeah, you are right. 8 Hanchans is a lot of Hanchans to play, so probably like playing normal, you're within cutoff range. It can't ever really be a bad idea. But yeah, all right. Well, that does end today's ARMA League. Thank you again, Shory, for joining us for this week. I loved the commentary and I loved all the questions. It really got me thinking about the game in terms of just a lot of the texture of the decisions, whether to go for greed and stuff. So thank you again. We will be in your DMs eventually, hopefully to commentate on the finals, maybe with Daske. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
But yeah, this is us done for this week. Please come back again next week as we are entering the final 2 weeks of the preliminary round of ARMA League. So see if your team or your favorite team makes it. Just to put you on the spot, sure, you got a team that you want to make it based off the 2 Hanchans you've watched?
Well, it's been 4 Hanchan.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
to be honest, I paid more attention to the players than anything else. I am looking forward to. Well, let's take a look at this team.
All right, I'll bring up the sheet just so we can follow along. So which player caught your eye and you want them to make it?
Way to put me on the spot here. Well, yesterday I quite enjoyed the games we watched of the EU and SW Wanderers.
Nice. Okay. So this is your
So,
team.
you
I'm
know,
calling it here. You know, I'm gonna make you make a statement. If you're gonna call AUNSW Wanderers your team, we're gonna call it now.
well, you know, as an impartial commentator, I shouldn't. Oh yeah, you know, screw it. Let's say that. Let's say then.
Okay.
If there's a team I want to play, I enjoyed the play of the Wanderers. So
Okay. Well, you heard it here first. Shory's call is last season's champions, AUNSW Wanderers. We'll see if the prophecy holds true. But okay, I've held you guys up for too long. We'll end it there. See you guys next week. Please do come back to see how things develop.